Hey everyone, Mr. Newman here, and today we're going to learn about two-way frequency tables. First of all, you need to know that a two-way frequency table is a table that compares two different variables, and these variables are categorical, which means they can't be a whole bunch of numbers. For example, on the example here, when you're in a grade, you can only be in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, or 12th grade. You can't be in like 9.5th grade, or 2.1 grade, or 7.358 grade. Likewise, with the preferred pets, you can either be a bird person, a cat person, a dog person, or a fish person. So since those are categories, a two-way frequency table will compare those two different variables. One thing that's not on this one that we need to do first is figure out the totals. So that means that total of 10 there means that there are 10 total students between 9th and 10th grade that prefer pets. Let's just add each of these up, and then we can answer a lot of these questions. For example, how many people preferred fish? Well, it's not 22 or 10, but it's 22 and 10. In other words, 32, because that total amount there is the total number of people that preferred fish. Whenever we ask percent questions, you always need to ask percent of what? So what percent of students were 10th graders and preferred fish? In other words, out of all the students, out of 244 students, how many were 10th graders and preferred fish? Well, there's 10 of those right here. Those are 10th graders that prefer fish. So we do 10 divided by 244 and get 0.041. Now, it asks for a percent, and that is a decimal. So remember, to change to a percent, we need to multiply by 100 or move the decimal to the right twice. And we get 4.1%. What percent of students were 9th graders and preferred dogs? Well, again, this is of students, so out of 244. Were 9th graders and preferred dogs? That would be 53 from right here, 9th grade and preferred dogs. So we get 0.217 or 21.7%. For the next question, we're asking what percent of 9th graders this time. That means we're dividing by not all the students, but just the 9th grade population. Out of the 127 9th graders, what percent prefer cats? Well, there are 49 cat people who are 9th graders. Notice I'm not including all the people who are cats because I'm just asking, well, what percent of the 9th graders? So I only need to worry about 9th graders who prefer cats, not all the people who prefer cats. When we divide that, we get 0.386, which is 38.6%. What percent of cat people were 10th graders? This is asking the question the other way around. Out of the cat people, in other words, out of 85 people who like cats, how many were 10th graders, or what percent were 10th graders? Well, the 10th graders are 36 that prefer cats. Notice it's not all the 10th graders because I'm just asking out of the cat people how many were 10th graders, or what percent are 10th graders. When we divide that, we get 42.4%. For the next question, this is asking a hypothetical. It's saying, in other words, I know we didn't survey 500 people, but what if we did? And these trends continued. If these percentages remained the same, then what would happen is we could just find the percent and multiply that by 500. So those are the steps we're going to actually exactly do. We're going to find the percent of the students who prefer dogs, and then we're going to multiply that by the 500 as if we surveyed more people. Out of all the students, that's 244, how many preferred dogs? 117 out of 244. When we divide that, we get 0.48 or 48%. Now, what if we surveyed 500 students though? In other words, another way of asking that is, what is 48% of 500? Well, to do that, we multiply 48%, which is 0.48, times 500, and we get 240. In other words, if we kept surveying more people and the proportions all stayed the same, 240 students out of those 500 would have preferred dogs. For the last one, this time we're still doing this out of all the students because we're saying, what if we surveyed 1,000 students? We're not surveying 1,000 9th graders, we're surveying 1,000 students. So, how many would be 9th graders who prefer fish? There's only 22 9th graders who prefer fish. So if we kept surveying all the students, we're asking, well, 9% of 1,000, what would that be? That is 90 students. So if we surveyed 1,000 students and these trends continued, we could expect about 90 of them to be ninth graders who preferred fish. On the next table, what we have to do here is we've got to fill in the blanks. And the way we do this is we look at a column or a row that has all of the parts except for one. For example, this first one, we have 31, 32, blank, and 78. Because we have almost all the parts, we can add or subtract to get that last part. So, the other way of asking this is 31 plus 32 plus blank equals 78. And in math, or another way to write that is 78 minus 31 minus 32 equals what? Well, when you type that in your calculator, you get 15, so that means 31 plus 32 plus 15 equals 78. And we can fill that in right there in the column. Here is another column. Again, I'm going to do 125 minus 50 minus 45, and I got 30. Another row here, we do the same thing. And now we're just adding the columns up. Okay, so let's look at the first question. What % of students are ninth graders who ride the bus? Again, we're of students, so out of 302, are ninth graders who ride the bus. That would be only 44 ninth graders who ride the bus. When we divide that, we get 0.146 or 14.6%. What % of 11th graders walk? Well, this time we're only looking out of all the 11th graders, so there's just 87 of those. And the number that walk are 50 11th graders. So 50 out of 87 is 0.575 or 57.5%. For the next question, we're asking what if 1,500 students were surveyed? This is another one of those where we want to find the percent and then multiply by the total amount to find out, well, what if we had surveyed more? How many would ride the bus? So here again, it's out of 302 total students. How many ride the bus? That's 99. So 99 out of 302 is 32.8%. I'm going to leave that as a decimal because I know I can multiply that by 1,500. So 1,500 times 0.382 gives me 492 students. For the last one, we're asking the same thing, but we're asking how many would be 10th graders who walk. So we're still counting this out of all 302 because we're surveying 1,500 total students. The number of 10th graders who would walk are 45, and we get 0.149. That means 1,500 times 0.149 gives us 223.5. Now we can't have half a student, so instead what we're going to do is going to round that up and say about 224 students. Thank you for watching.